In just a moment. Getting ready to geek out here in like 5 minutes. Man, that trailer. Yeah. I'll try to put up the portal coordinates here in a moment on Discord. For those of you who want to jump on, you don't necessarily have to jump on. If you don't want to, you can stick around in Discord.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear. My cat should be yelling. He's excited.
What's up? We got about a minute to go.
I don't know if we're muted. I wasn't sure.
Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not muted.
We're not muted. Everyone here, yeah, I can hear.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Happy Saturday! Woo! What's going on? Welcome to State of the Game. This podcast is going to be talking about No Man's Sky as well as Night No Fire. And I have special guests with me, Jason from Jason Plays, Sazzible, Heather SilverMist, and we're missing one, Professor Cynical. He should be joining us soon. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy to be here. Very excited to be here with everybody. I'm very hyped about the new game, Light No Fire, and what's coming up with No Man's Sky. Very excited.
Man, oh man. What you call it? How
Okay.
long? Oh, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
No.
Yep.
My
No, we
mic
can't.
wasn't working, so I'm trying to
Oh.
figure it out. Hello, everyone.
Oh man. So when we were sitting there at the Game Awards, how long did it take them to get up to Sean Murray? Was it about 2 hours?
3 hours and
Yeah.
12 minutes.
Oh.
They always save the best for last.
Yep.
Well-
That is true in life, right?
The only reason I know it was 3 hours and 12 minutes is because I thought it was going to happen and I kept drinking. I was like, oh, I'll drink a little bit of whiskey to celebrate. And I kept drinking more and more and waiting, going, oh, they're going to do it anytime now.
Yeah, it probably would have been, if you had waited until the announcement to have that whiskey shot, that would have. You probably wouldn't have been quite as toasted.
Yeah. I should have waited, but I was like, oh, they're going to do this early because, they have other big stuff to announce.
Exactly. Hang on to the Duck, Daniel, Dried Kelp, ScarTech Gaming. Welcome, everyone. Oh, man, but I would just remember sitting there, and then all of a sudden, that little bit of No Man's Sky came up. And it's just the usual, throughout the 30-plus updates, and then it's the final one with just the ship inside the space station. And then you start to notice, oh my god, that there's a change in the space station, and then the ship comes out, and then unfolds the Type B space stations, and you're like, oh, finally. Finally.
Yeah, well, and it was so fast because at first you see the shot of the ship, and I was like, oh, we got a new ship type, and then you look around, and you're like, oh, that's a whole new landing area. What is that? And at first my brain said, oh, this is a new, like the space anomaly, because they overhauled that. Maybe they're going to do it again. And then when that shot finally, when it exits and you look at it, you're like, oh, that is a space station. Yes, finally.
Because it's been, what, a couple of years now? Or a few more years than that? Then that people have been asking for an interior change, but it's never come to light. So I wonder if they've always been working on it. It just kept hush hush.
Well, we know it's been at least a year because the files for the exteriors leaked out on I think it was the February update 2022 or 2023. So they've been at least working on it for a year.
And they kept quiet about it. And then they removed, didn't they somehow remove the files and put them back in? It's like they didn't want us to, they must not have been ready yet.
Yeah, well, that's what at the time I thought, oh, because they've done that a couple times before. They had ship customization back in 2018 that was in there that was left over. People found it, got all excited, like, oh, it's coming. They left it in there. And then they removed it in a patch and it never came back. So I thought, oh, they were probably testing out new exteriors for space stations and it just didn't work out and they forgot to remove it. So, because we never saw it, we were like, okay, it's just not going to come. They tested it and it's not working. Obviously, that's wrong, and I love that.
Another good notion from that was definitely the ship. I'm more interested in the ship in the background, but we'll get to the background in a second. I wonder if that's going to be our new racing ship.
Racing ship.
Yeah.
Is there a speculation about
decals.
racing in space? Race ship in space?
Because we have the exocrabs kind of doing that, and there's already communities built. Oh my god, what is he doing? There. We have these communities built around racing with the exocrabs. So why not the ships?
Yeah, well, and we had the speeder We just got that with the last replay, the Utopia replay.
Right.
And when we saw that, I said, "Oh, it's a new ship type because it looks different, and they call it a speeder. So maybe it's a speeder type ship, so for racing or something." But it ended up being just a fighter. So maybe now they're gonna say, "Well, here's a new type called a speeder type or whatever."
That should be interesting, because everybody can add different things to their ship that can make it faster.
Oh yeah.
So it will be a challenge to win races like that.
And how would they? I wonder how they would do the racing initiators out in space. Is another thing.
Ooh, that's a good question. Unless they went it. No, they couldn't procedurally post them. That would be too much.
But from the space station to that planet.
Yeah, but the planets are like different, distances in every
True.
system, right?
Mm-hmm. They'd have to give the build power to players to do that then, the same way they've done it for exocrafts.
Yeah, but I can't see them doing it in space. You need a land, some kind of a terrain to do that.
No, good point.
I mean, you can kind of, people have glitch built up into the air, but I haven't seen anyone go that far into space. Like, I've seen them pretty high, but nowhere that high. I don't know.
You can think about it this way. Star Citizen has 2 racing ships. It's the whatever they call the Razor. There's one in blue, one in white, but they have these ships on tracks that are on the planet, but like little rings in the air, so that way they could just fly through it.
Yeah,
There
I
are
mean,
those,
Bit of
there are
There's
other
places-
planets with giant O mountains. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean maybe those could be the racing planets, but like, I don't know how because you can fly your ship through those
Yeah.
O's and those squares.
I mean, it could be that. I think maybe we might be overthinking it. Just like the Sentinel ship type is just a type that looks like a Sentinel, so it's themed like that. So it could just be a theme, like, oh, it's a racing ship, so all the decals look like racing stripes. But the overall, it's not for racing per se. It's just a little bit faster. So, like, we know that like the haulers have better shields than any other one. So even when you put upgrades in there, if you put the same upgrades across the board, a hauler will still have the best one. So it could be that's the fastest one, and even with upgrades, it still is the fastest. But other than that, there's no racing theme to it. Other than that,
Yeah, I can see that. What? Oh man,
Yeah.
that idea just it went away.
Yep. It's it's okay. At least we lowered our own hype. You know,
there you go.
instead of having other people lower the hype for us.
Oh man, the expectations and stuff like that. It's like the hype was just right for this announcement, and then it just kind of settled down again where it should be, because we're waiting for it to come, and when it comes, then we'll be excited. Like I don't want to say when we learned our lesson or anything, because we're excited about the game. We like the game, but it's just sometimes things didn't turn out in our favor.
Well, I think that the hype is still there, but it just got transferred over to Light No Fire.
True.
So if we
Yeah.
didn't see anything on Light No Fire, I'm sure that everyone would be through the roof speculating about, oh, we're going to do races in space now and all that stuff, but we have another place to put it instead of just on No Man's Sky.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the spaceship interior. We saw very little of that. They've done so much to the remodel. They have the core that used to be like in the back of the space station. That's all you got. It's now in the center of it. And then you have, the kiosks in the back, which look like actual spots where you can just go up to a window and then click a button, and then you can go ahead and get your item. I'm speculating about this, by the way. Just from what I see. Because it doesn't look like you can see someone standing there waiting for you to come
no,
up.
there is from the footage when I slowed it down and I was zooming in, it looks like it's more of a desk area. So it's actually like a small room that's open, and there's 2 aliens inside each kiosk area, the suit area, the spaceship area.
Oh,
And so I don't know if it's just set dressing, like maybe they have a couple of aliens in there just walking around so it looks busy and you walk up or whatever, but and there's 3 different levels. We couldn't see really what's on the 3rd level. Oh my
Oh.
God, there's so much there.
I only saw 2. Where's the 3rd one? At the bottom or the top?
No, it's you have the landing pad area. That's the bottom, the 1st floor.
Okay.
Then you have your 2nd floor, and that's where your kiosks are. And then on the left side of the shot, as the ship is leaving, there's a staircase going up to a 3rd level, and you just can't see beyond that.
Yeah,
So there's
like-
something up there, but I don't know what it is.
Like the doors in the abandoned, or the hallways in the abandoned stations.
Something, yeah. It's a staircase up to something, and it doesn't look like it's that large. So maybe it's a special shop or a special area, or maybe it's just a cafe, like that weird room that all the aliens just sit around and chat.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it
was
could be
thinking.
where they could have moved the cafe upstairs and that other room that's for the main story.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you access like the simulation. Yeah, that room.
Yeah, I was mostly looking around trying to find a way to, and who knows, it might be in there, but maybe they've adjusted the floor plan so we can actually customize our ships at the space station now. But I didn't see any of that. I'm just hoping for that to happen.
Like I saw the kiosk over to the right, but I didn't see
Uh-huh.
anything else like mentioned like that. Oh, go ahead.
I really doubt we'll ever be able to customize our ships.
Yeah. Well,
Because-
I mean, I've pulled back on that. Before it was, hey, look, we're gonna get wings and landing gear and all that. Now for me, customization is just gonna be, hey, you can change the color and the decals. Everything else about the ship is the same, but you can customize the colors.
I don't think that's really so. In multiplayer, the colors are kind of broken, right? When you bring
Mhm.
out one ship, the rest of your ships are the same color as the first ship. So they'd have to fix that bug first, or feature, before they can add color and decal customization. I mean, it would look good for you, obviously, but other people wouldn't be able to see it.
That's true. I know that I know Ricey has said that there's some code where, like, for the staffs, for instance, everyone sees the same color in multiplayer, and it's the wrong color according to you. Like, you see something, but everyone else in multiplayer just sees the same singular color on your staff. So it could be that there's some kind of a shroud or a code to just hide that. I don't know. Maybe they're tweaking with it.
Yeah, it's the same with your pets. If you bring out your first pet, the rest of the pets will be that color as well. Or
Oh.
you get that bug where they're all green and brown.
Mm.
Never even knew that
I
was a
haven't
thing.
seen that.
Yeah. Feature, yeah. Feature.
Oh man, so I wonder what's the first thing everyone's gonna do when they get to that space station? Like when the update unfolds.
Have a look around.
Jump
Or all
off
the corners.
the 3rd floor and see if you get any fall damage.
Oh, do we get fall damage on the stations?
No, because it's not tall enough, and I think they changed that in the Beyond update. Because you used to, if you jetpacked up, you would fall down and take a little. It wouldn't, unless you did it over and over and over like 10 times. You wouldn't die. You would just take a little bit of damage. But then they just removed it.
Oh man, you know what I just thought about? Station overrides. Since the core is in the ceiling now, I think I saw the little computer all the way in the back, still in the middle. So you think that's still going to be accessible? Or should we?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they haven't really. They updated them, I think, back in the summer, so that now when you can use them, but it's a waste still. Now at least the station core recognizes it. Like if you bring it to the core right now, it'll say, sorry, this is invalid. But at least it knows that you're trying to do something with it. So I would imagine that they're going to add some kind of feature, and I don't know what it would be. I don't think we're going to be able to buy space stations like we were talking about like last year.
I
Oh
think it's
man.
been like 2 years since they added that station
Yeah.
override, right? And we've
Yeah.
been saying this is going to be the one. This will be the one. This will be the update.
And that might be, they might be working, they might have been working on this for 2 years now. They had an idea and they're like, oh, we'll throw that in there and we'll have this update out in like 6 months, and it's just taken this long to actually finish it.
Yeah, could be.
So what are people gonna do with
they'll,
this?
They'll
Oh,
give
go
us
ahead.
purpose, for the station override eventually, I'm sure. Yeah, they will.
Or they'll just remove it. Like all of a sudden it just disappears. Like, no!
So what would people do with a space station if they could own one? That's my question. Like, I would understand abandoned stations because you can just refurbish it and then it would become a regular space station and then life comes back into it depending on which faction you want. But if there's a space station already there and then it's like, oh, we need you to run it, how would that work into like a player base or it being a gameplay loop?
Maybe we can have more ships, and we could store more ships in the space station than we can on our freighter. That would be something.
Well,
They are big.
The space, the speculation, if I remember right, it was like last year when we went really crazy over it, was you were going to be able to override, take over a space station, and then control the economy in that system. And so you can change the prices on stuff. And as a benefit of owning the space station, you basically get anything, like if it's a mining system, you'd be able to get those items basically like at a settlement. They would just generate items for you so you can go pick them up instead of making them yourself.
Maybe a space station could be like a settlement that we have now.
Yeah, and you
you
slowly build pieces and stuff on it. Yeah.
Now I can see that for the Galactic Core because a lot of the player organizations they're mapped out around there, so I can see that working for that. But if you're someone who's clear across the universe playing on your own, how would that work?
Well, you'd still be benefiting from the like. What if they gave you a percentage of the sales every day or every week or whatever?
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
And so it would be more of a game of, well, if you set your prices too high, nobody visits your station and no one buys anything. But if it's too low, you're not making any money. So it's that kind of a little mini. And then traditionally, No Man's Sky updates have never been like really in depth. It's always very shallow. Like, oh, here's food. You can make food. It's like, well, what do you need that for? Nothing. Okay. So, I mean, that's where, and it's, being completely honest, I can also see they've announced Light No Fire. They, from that trailer, we saw a lot of upgrades and updates to what the No Man's Sky formula is. And so I can see them saying, hey, look, we love No Man's Sky. We're still going to add content to it, but it's not going to be super massive overhauls of anything anymore. We're kind of done. Now we're just going to add some more features. We're going to add some more ship types, things like that. But, after the planet, after the space station's overhaul, it's just small features, and we're moving on to, Light No Fire.
So I'm kind of worried Light No Fire is definitely going to steal the show once it hits launch.
I don't know. I don't think so.
With Starfield, right? People didn't leave No Man's Sky completely. In fact, I think it brought more people over
Yeah.
to No Man's Sky for a little bit.
To be fair, I think a lot of people had higher expectations of Starfield. And when they jumped in, they got a little taste of it. They were like, actually, I prefer No Man's Sky. Or I want more, and No Man's Sky offers that. And so they switched over to No Man's Sky because they didn't want a traditional Bethesda, like, story-driven RPG, which I love. And I think it's an amazing game. But a lot of people want that exploration that No Man's Sky gives you. That creativity of, hey, I can do whatever I want. Starfield, you have to level up before you can really do anything with that, base building or anything like that.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky gives it you right out of the gate. You can do whatever the heck you want.
I thought that this was going to be the end of No Man's Sky. That they've been teasing us with the Void Mother, and that the next update will be something to do with the Void Mother, and basically not the end of the game. Like Jason said, they probably still do small updates, but the end of the story, because now it's going to be Light No Fire. They're a small team. They can't be working on both at the same time.
Well, they have for 5 years.
I know,
it's crazy.
Well, that's true. That is
Sean
true.
said that. I was like, what? Wait a minute.
And
So-
didn't they release another game too?
Last
The Last
Campfire, yeah.
Campfire.
Last Campfire.
Yeah.
Mind you, they did
keep
just
them
copy
busy.
the mushrooms from No Man's Sky and use them in Light No Fire.
Huh.
Well, there's so much in there. It's not just the mushrooms. It's like, it feels like they just took the tools, everything from No Man's Sky, the engine they've been working on for the past 10 years probably, and then they said, okay, we're gonna make something completely different, with this. It's going to be one planet, and instead of using all that power to make a billion kajillion planets, we're going to make it way more detailed. It's going to be deeper oceans, you know, higher mountains. It's going to be way larger to where it's bigger than Earth, that kind of stuff. But it's still No Man's Skies. You know, you see the grass, the flowers, and you're like, oh, the getting on your dragon animation is the same thing as getting on in your ship in No Man's Sky. It's a lot of the same stuff.
I mean, I
Yeah,
like the
and
jumping. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it reminded me of the custom bird pets that people have in No Man's Sky. It's like they kind of took that.
Oh yeah.
That style of animation and added that to the dragons in Light No Fire.
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
It looked like very much like next gen, like because look, they added like more realistic water. Everything looked like more detailed.
For me, it was more. It looks like gameplay. There's a lot of shots that are just straight up gameplay. Your character walking through the world, and so I would go through, and I was looking at the load in, the draw distance, the pop in. And it is a way better. It's still there. You can still see it, but it is way better versus No Man's Sky. And that one detail makes me think that it's going to be just PS5, just Xbox Series X, just PC. It's not going to be on older stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, computers have a lot more power nowadays than when they first made No Man's Sky, so they're aiming at that market.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like even now, like today, if you run No Man's Sky on PC, like I have a really meaty, beefy PC, and No Man's Sky on PC doesn't really run it that hard. And I feel like it's because they're like, look, we know that consoles, because it never runs over like 10 gigabytes of VRAM, so it feels like it's limited to the older consoles that only had 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Because even PS5 has 16, and it never even touches 16.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it feels like they said, look, we have the core component of it needs to run on all these machines, and so it can't be beyond this point. It's limited, like artificially just limited.
Yeah, and they limited it a little bit more, like this year. It feels like.
Yeah, well, I think that's what, because when you see that they've added like the corrupted planets with all the purple crystals everywhere. All of a sudden that draw distance got really close to where now if you look too hard, you can see the line of exactly where the draw distance just ends. And you're like, okay. And it keeps getting closer and closer because they have to draw in so much more stuff around you.
Well, hopefully nothing else disappears. I was going to mention something about the animation for them jumping on the dragon. Seeing them hop into it, I think is a lot better than just teleporting into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that,
well,
oh, go ahead.
It's just all the animations in that trailer were just like, when I saw the underwater sequence and you see the characters swimming and not doing the traditional terrible No Man's Sky swimming animation, you're like, oh, why can't you do that in No Man's Sky? You've been working on it for this game. Come on.
And there's like a mod for fixing that problem.
Yeah.
For No Man's Sky, like why didn't they? I mean,
and I'm
heard
sure
that
again,
they could apply that at any time.
I'm sure
a mod expert told me that they could change the water at any time, but they just haven't.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's probably a limitation of, look, I mean, we can't even fit. We just got capes on the Nintendo Switch, so let's calm down. We can't do it. So yeah, that's another reason number like 500 or whatever that is probably going to be on next generation, or at this point probably call it current generation consoles and nothing older. Just because they probably need that extra power to be comfortable, not to run it, because I'm sure they probably could fit it on No Man's Sky, but then they'd say, well, some systems are going to break, you know, the Nintendo Switch is going to be basically unplayable or whatever, the frame rate is going to be terrible. So they want that comfortability of, we have extra power now, we don't have to worry about it, so we can do all this cool stuff.
Going off of that, what do you think they have in store for part 4 of the story? Because I know it was mentioned earlier, we talked a little bit about it, that it may be the end of No Man's Sky. But What do we have left from the story of the Sentinels and the autophages? Like, what do we have left?
Well, I mean, they just introduced the autophages this year, so they could still add more lore to them. You know, even give maybe they could even have a part in the new space stations. Like that's something to think about.
Yeah. Well, I would say that a lot of people are expecting all the stuff to come up in the next update, but there's nothing that says they can't say, well, actually in February or whatever, when the next update is actually going to be a smaller, bite-sized one that's not even, like, it's not the new space stations, it's not the new ship. We teased that, but that's not coming out till summer. It's the big update. So right now, you know, the next one in February is actually going to be this smaller one that maybe is just an expedition or just some small feature that we're adding into, and the big story doesn't finish off until June or July or August or whatever.
Kind of the same thing they did with Singularity.
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
they'll fix the capes in the space, you know?
They did put the new Havoc engine in, so that it's possible.
I hope they do continue with the expeditions. I really enjoy those.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
when they first came out, we assumed, like 3 years ago at this point, when they introduced that feature, we were all excited. And then when I talked to some of the other creators, like Beeblebum, Zane, it just felt like they're like, okay, this feels like end game content. This is something they can just revamp, and it's really easy to put out a new expedition every month or two. And it doesn't, well, from the outside anyway, maybe it is more work than we realize, but it doesn't seem like it's as much work as a full-on update. And so when the game, speculation-wise, when the game finally finishes, quote-unquote, when they're done with No Man's Sky and they move on, they can keep a small team of like 2 or 3 people that just pump out new expeditions every couple of months. So it's still new content, but we're not getting any like features or anything like that. It's just a new expedition every couple of months.
Interesting.
Yeah. And some of the expeditions felt like they were kind of QA testing for
Absolutely.
Light No Fire.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Like you know, the cartographers one where everybody's on one planet.
Uploading a base. Yep.
Oh.
Testing servers. Yep. Well, and then I think we started talking about that, I think a year and a half ago, when one of the first expeditions that had multiplayer what had multiplayer integrated into it was a milestone where we had to visit each other's freighter.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, okay, that's kind of weird. It's not go to here and do something specifically. It was just go touch someone's freighter. And that, to me, it was like, okay, this feels like a test. Like they're trying to see if it works, because what's the point in doing that? It's not hard to do. You just have to have multiplayer turned on. So
Yeah.
that felt like a test.
Yeah, that definitely. And yeah, the optional milestones. Like I remember when they added that. Like that's new.
I always feel
Why
bad.
have optional ones?
I always feel bad when I never finish one. I'm like, I could have gotten something. It's like, could you really? Could you?
Oh. Well, and I also think that a lot of this, maybe even a lot of the features they've been adding over the last couple of years, now that we know that they've been working on Light No Fire for 5 years, we had that, I had that feeling, and a few other people, we've had that feeling of, this feels like a test, or like they're trying to see how we respond to it, like whether we like it or we don't like it. And now looking back, you're like, oh, okay, they've been listening to us, like everyone since the beginning of, since the Abyss update back in 2018, everyone's been complaining, hey, fix the water, the swim animation sucks, it looks terrible. And we've been complaining, and they've been doing it, just not in No Man's Sky. So now you can kind of see that, like, oh, okay. They are taking feedback. It's just we don't see it.
Yeah, we didn't see that. So I guess they've been taking all of our feedback and just pouring it into this new game. That's
Yeah,
another
and I think, I think that's what you can kind of see that No Man's Sky's been not in a negative way, but a big test. So they know, people care about this feature, but they really don't care about that feature. And so it'll be really interesting when we finally get light no fire, the first thing I really want to do is say, okay, we're gonna go through and see what features that No Man's Sky has that are not in Light No Fire, because that's obviously stuff that they were like, we added in living ships, but nobody gives a crap about those, so we're never gonna do that again. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I never take mine out at all. It's just sitting there in the freighter, just collecting dust.
Your living ship.
Yeah.
It's gathering dust.
It's living in dust.
I have nothing else. Like, wait, how many ships do we have total? It's 12 now, right?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
12.
Yep.
Do you ever take those 12 out at all?
No. I have like a core
switched
3.
I'd switch it out.
Do you?
Yeah, the core 4, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do occasionally.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I like my Sentinel ships.
yeah, and I think that's gonna be something that, because I have no doubt that Hello Games has all these stats, so they know how many people are using a living ship or how many people even completed that mission. I'm willing to bet less than half the people who play No Man's Sky even completed it or even know about living ships or care enough, because they're like, dude, it takes 5 and I'm not doing that. I'm not. Especially, you don't see people flying them, so you don't think that they're special. They're like, hey, no one uses them, so obviously they don't matter. They suck, so why would I even waste my time?
yeah.
I just got my first living ship.
They're better than they were before, because like you can
Now you can
evolve
upgrade
the
them.
technology in there.
Yeah.
I think you can like install better weapons than you used to.
Yeah. Now you can finally, you can upgrade the inventory. You can actually add upgrades to it. But again, it's when we finally got Sentinel ships, that really showed me that they either realized or maybe they knew that people were irritated with the living ships, because living ships, you have to go on this huge like mission structure that takes you a week. There's cooldown timers that are like 24 hours long. And then when the Sentinel ships came out, I was like, oh god, we're gonna have to do that again. And it's like, nope, find these 3 pieces, go over here, it takes you 5 minutes, you're done. There's no cooldown timer. And I was like, oh, okay, that to me tells me, oh, they realized that was a mess up, and so they're not gonna make it as difficult like that anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still have to do like a mission that takes a day, and it's better than a week. That's for sure.
Oh, man.
For the living ships, did they up? No way. I just did that 6 months ago. They still. I mean, to be fair, I did cheat it, and I basically took my PC offline and fast forwarded my time, but it still took a week. Like you had to get the different pieces for your living ship, and I was like, oh my god, they're still doing this.
Yeah, they could not fast track it fast enough. Oh, but man, yeah, once was enough. Like, I'll never go back and do it again. But the cool thing is, once you've completed it and you want another one, you just need to get another, another egg, and then it'll call out to you, you go pick it up, and then that's it. You've got another ship.
Yeah, and that's the great part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could ship hunt, 4 living ships, after you complete the quest.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it on 2 saves. Not all 5. Well, actually, I have 9 saves, but I have like 5 normal saves.
5 normal saves?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not feeling this one today. Let's go to this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I always seem like I'm lost at the beginning of my streams, because I usually am. Like, what galaxy did I leave my character in today? Where am I?
Yeah.
I sit there and pull up the edit and be like, okay, I was here last time during this save. Oh, and that's one of the features I really like about No Man's Sky now, is that when they added that, it's like you can put down a detail, go to that save, and be like, what in the world? What was I doing in Galaxy 60? And it's like, oh, it says gathering indium, and it's like, okay, I'm on that indium planet, and I could just go somewhere else. But never able to edit the text before, and I love that.
Yeah, well, and the fact that we have more than, I believe we used to have 5 saves, and now we have, I think, up to 15 or 12.
Oh my god.
So I love that. Yeah.
Maybe I should have kept those expeditions.
Yeah, well, that was the problem when the expeditions first came out. It was, well, you have 3 saves, so you have to start a new one, so delete one of your main saves that you want to keep forever.
I'm like, no, never again. Never again. Man, speaking of... Oh, no, go ahead.
Naming saves has made it so much easier to keep track of everything.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
a great quality of life feature.
Yeah, well, I was doing it the dumb way before. It was because every time you choose a different difficulty settings, it would give you a different symbol. And so I had a normal save, I had a survival. That way I know which one is which because it has a different symbol on it. Now you can name it. It's like, okay, I don't have to do that. Thank God.
Yeah, Jason's main save is called main save, do not delete.
Oh man, no, I'm right
It
there with
literally
Jason.
is.
I've deleted mine accidentally 3 times, and oh, it sucks. It's like, oh, there goes 6 hours of my day trying to get the save back.
Oh God. Well,
I
at
used
least
to just
yeah.
I used to just look at the hours. Like, this is my main save. It's got the most hours.
Yep.
was-
Yep. Oh, that was the worst part, dude. And then especially, like, now I know if I delete something, if you catch it within a day or two, you're good. You can go back and you revert.
Oh man.
But man, when I deleted my save last Christmas or last December, and I didn't realize till January after the replays were done, and so it was totally gone. I was like, "There's no way I'm getting that back." It's been weeks.
Oh man, I remember seeing that. I was
So
like,
bad. I was like,
no.
Well, and it was doubly bad because I was like, "Okay, you know what? 2023, fresh year, fresh save. We'll just start it up again." And then the autophage came out, and they're like, "Oh, you need to do these missions." And I'm like, I missed those because I did it on my original main save, so why do it again? Son of a.
Oh man, not to skip away from No Man's Sky. I went ahead and put out a poll over Twitter, and it was about the different biomes everyone was going to set up at in Light No Fire. There was a large percentage, about 72%, that wanted to be in the forest. Like, very little for desert, very little from the marsh, very little from anywhere else. But I'm wondering, why the forest? And is that because people are going to want to have like a colorful spot, a very beautiful spot that's calm to kind of build at, or maybe build a community around it instead of some of the other biomes? Or is it kind of like the whole like finding your Earth like in No Man's Sky because you want the beauty and the color?
I think that's probably, if I had to guess, it's that. And I also have a feeling that, I mean, who knows what they do with it, but when the game finally releases, we're going to realize where the good spot is, because like where the resources are, because that's where everyone's going to build.
Oh,
It
yeah.
might
That's what I
not
was
be
thinking.
in the forest. It
Yeah,
might be the
or-
desert. Yeah.
But I would build in the forest because I live in a forest.
Yeah. Oh, you,
On the
you
side
don't
of
want
a
to change it up? You don't want to? Do you want to have a change of scenery and build in a desert or something?
I don't like heat, so I'm staying out of the desert.
I want a beach house. Is there like a beach I can build on?
Oh, that's another thing too. We'll get the circumnavigation in a bit, but no, keep this going. Keep this going.
But
Yeah, well,
I was going to say that. What was I going to say? Shoot. Go ahead, Jason. I'll try and
Well,
remember.
I would say that I can't wait to see more of it. I know Sean has talked about it, and so until I see what it is, because you don't know, like when he talked about Light No Fire before they officially announced it, he just said it's the same scope as, the same size as No Man's Sky, and we didn't know what the heck that meant. We're like, so it's going to be another space game with 1 million planets? What does that mean? Now we know it's such a massive planet that you're probably, I mean, I'm sure someone out there is going to try to run all the way around it and see how long it takes. It might be me. I have a bet with Zane. I told him, I mean, nobody on this stream, don't tell any, don't ruin it later on, but I jokingly said, I'm going to say that the world is flat, and I'm going to try to prove it by running to the edge. So when I start up, I'm going to have a flat earther a save. I'm going to try to reach the edge.
Oh man, I want to see that.
I remembered what I was going to say, Azrath. You said that nobody wanted to build in the swamp.
Yeah.
I have played too many games. Okay, the swamp is not a safe place.
Oh, that's a good point. We haven't really. They didn't touch on enemies in the trailer. We just saw a skeleton with like 2 little minions. That's about it. But we didn't see like player to enemy gameplay. And there's one thing for PvE, it's another thing for PvP, which is a second thing I want to touch on later after the circumnavigation conversation.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
But I'm like, oh man. Wait, no. Since we're talking about it now and it's fresh in our minds, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, yeah, enemies.
No, I have one more thing. I think Jason, since you're gonna do a flat Earth run, maybe I should do around the world in 80 days.
Oh
Yes! Do it!
Nice.
That would be funny. I wonder if would it take 80 days or less than that? We'll find out.
I have a feeling it's gonna be. I mean, knowing that the planets in No Man's Sky take about 16 hours to walk across, on average, depending on the size of it. It gets larger and smaller. If you're on a moon, it takes shorter. But about 16 hours. I mean, I can't even imagine. They take all that power because there's millions or billions and countless planets in No Man's Sky. You take all that power and you put it on one planet and you extend it out even larger. Is it gonna take 80 days? Is it gonna be 100 days? Is it gonna be 300 days? A year?
Man,
That'd be crazy.
1 episode per day. Going what?
Yeah.
Is the distance going to be counted in units, or is the distance going to be counted as something? Excuse me, something else.
Maybe it's like in-game days. It's not going to be real.
Oh, okay.
Time days because we don't know what the day-night cycle is going to be, how long it's going to be in game. So
we
do it that
know
way.
we know that in No Man's Sky it's 15 for day, 15 for night, 15 minutes for day and 15 for night. So if you just take the day-night cycle of No Man's Sky, that takes hundreds of days to walk around a No Man's Sky planet. So it'll be like 20 years.
We wouldn't just be walking, in the movie. They use many different ways to get across. I mean,
yeah, there are mounts, but no, I have to just walk. I'm going to walk. I'm going to be Forrest Gump. I'm going to walk all the way or run all the way.
You have to put a terrain manipulator in game to make room for this guy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too is because I mean, there's one thing I don't think they're going to use feet or meters or anything like that because they've used units in No Man's Sky, I think, on purpose because they don't want. I call it feet all the time anyway. They don't want anyone to because when you put down feet or meters or whatever, then people can get a general scale. Like, oh, okay, so it's feet, so let's measure out how big this is because we know it's in feet. But if you use units, what does that mean? How much is a unit for feet? How many units are in a meter? We don't know. So we don't know how large it is. We know how long it takes us, but we don't know what that equals out to in real life.
Okay.
Oh, Midnight Oil has a good point. I got to call out this comment. But you'll be constantly going left.
Hey, I will have my chart out. I'll have my compass or whatever they have. I'll be going north the entire time. Oh.
Well, I just Googled it, and there are people who have walked around the world, and they takes them anywhere from between 1 year to 7 years.
Oh,
wow.
Who took that 7 years? That's the Jason kind of guy, right? It takes a little longer. Oh, 7 years. Holy hell. So, and Sean Murray said this game is going to be larger than a Earth-sized planet. So, holy cow. 2 years, 3 years. I mean, it does get circumvented by the fact that you have flying mounts that go way faster than you're on foot. Same thing for you can ride animals, and so yeah, that time gets cut down when you can do that. Just jump on a dragon and fly all the way around.
Maybe specific biomes you have to walk, specific biomes you have to fly. You can switch to their version of exocraft.
Well, and then something else we don't know. How do you get your mount? Is it something you just start the game, or do you have to earn it? Do you have the first 5 hours in the game learning how to tame or whatever? We don't know any of this stuff. So it could be that in the beginning of the game, you start a brand new save, you're just out of luck. It's like you're chasing around animals and hunting and gathering and stuff, but you're not really exploring the map because you don't have a mount and you can't get one until way later.
Hold on, I'll be right back. My wife locked herself out of the room.
Okay. Oh, dang. Okay. But yeah, I mean, just looking at that, I can't wait. I mean, and I half jokingly say the map is flat because I know that for Minecraft, other games, it's just a flat map that goes out forever. Like in Minecraft, if you ran in a straight line, you'd never reach you never go back to the beginning of the map. You would just literally keep going in a straight line until the map basically, at a certain point, it starts to fall apart because the generation just falls apart. But would they do that in No Man's Sky? I don't know. Is it a planet? Because if it's really truly a globe and you can walk all the way around it, and you have 5 million people playing at the same time, that is going to be crazy. You're going to run into big villages or cities at that point. You have 1 million people on one piece of the map. Everyone loads in right there, and they're just building up a huge city or a town or whatever.
Oh, man.
It's going to be crazy.
I do not think it's going to be multiplayer like that. I think it's going to be a 832 kind of thing. That's how many people will be able to play together. I don't think it's going to be an MMO.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you on that. But what I mean by that is because a lot of people said, oh, it's massive multiplayer. There's going to be 1 million people. I don't say 1 million people like on the screen. What I mean is like right now in No Man's Sky, they have the Galactic Hub and thousands of people build on these planets. And so they're not all on at the same time. They're only in groups of like, well, I think now multiplayer only goes up to like 8 or 10 people if you're lucky. But they all know, okay, this plot of land over here, that's Jason's, and then over here is Heather. We're not on at the same time, but we both can build in the same area. And so I think we're going to see big cities in Light No Fire if the multiplayer is similar to No Man's Sky, where 1,000 people can build in the same general area. They're not on at the same time, but like at 3 p.m. I get on and I build my building over here, and then at 6 p.m. Heather jumps on and she builds her building like a block away. And so, but when I log in, I can see, as long as Heather uploads to the servers, I can see what she's building, and so I can actually walk through this town. It'll be empty, or maybe there'll be like 20 people around, but I can see what everyone else is building. So you might, theoretically, speculation wise, in Light No Fire, you might be running around and all of a sudden you see, what is that? There's a building over there. And then when you get closer, all of a sudden everything starts populating. You're like, holy cow, this is a huge city that 1,000 people are building. There's like a community of people that are just in there, sharing resources, whatever. They play multiplayer and they're like, oh, do you need more stone or wood? I could throw it to you or whatever. Oh, this would be, speculation. Who knows if that's real? That sounds cool.
It does, but I don't think it will be.
No? You don't think, do you think there's going to be a limit to how much you can build within an area, or what do you mean?
Not necessarily. I just think there'll be a limit to the amount of people that will be on that particular planet. So I don't think everybody will see it with the same planet.
That's the thing, Heather, on Light No Fire, that it's only one planet.
I realize that, but I still don't know that everybody's going to be seeing it.
I mean, they might be able to up the number from 32 to 64.
Yes.
Because it's just one planet.
But not all the people who will be playing it at once. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Especially since it's next gen, right? So they might be able to.
Now, what I'm also wondering...
Theoretically, it's next gen. Theoretically.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
I'm wondering
if they can squeeze that on the Switch. Oh my god! It's out on Nintendo Switch. Oh.
Yep, lowest settings.
It plays at 240p at 10 frames a second.
Yes.
I wonder if they're gonna have this on separate servers or maybe on a shard, because the only reason I can see it working on a shard would be the same thing they're doing for what's that space game called, where it's voxel based, but all the players are on it at the same time. Dual universe. They're able to do it that way. I don't know if Hello Games is able to pull it off the same way as that. And Midnight Oil had also mentioned Arc, the way it's done there too. Maybe they might pull it off that way. Did Sean ever mention it when he was on stage?
No, he just said that it was a multiplayer gameplay. And every shot, I was trying to count how many people were on screen. At the most I saw for what I would consider playable characters, it probably was 6 or 7. So we didn't see any like major there's a town full of 1,000 people and you can see all the players walking around. And I think it's gonna be like No Man's Sky. There's gonna be a cap on how many people you can see at the same time, but we're all gonna be there in different instances of, well, we're all in this one generalized, this swamp. We're all in it together. There's 100 of us and we're all building. And then I have to upload my discovery or upload my base. And then tomorrow I might see, like if I upload it today, you might see it tomorrow and go, oh, Jason was building or whatever, just like in No Man's Sky. It takes a day or two for the servers to kind of refresh.
So this kind of cuts down on the speculation of there's going to be like player-owned guilds just kind of like building in one spot, like that major city, and then just kind of like little bits of houses and small towns and villages next to that. So those...
I mean, we could. We have no idea. Maybe because I think the big limitation for No Man's Sky is the fact that they have so much room. There's so many different planets. There's so many different galaxies. There's so many different systems that they have to. Theoretically, the servers not only have to update every single planet. Like if I go build on a random planet and upload it to the server, that server has to keep that tracked, even if no one else on the planet visits that planet. You know, if I'm in Hilbert and no one else even cares or even knows about it, and I build some weird base out there, that server has it doesn't get rid of it. It's there always. Whereas when you're dealing with one planet, you're like, okay, we can actually populate a little bit more because we're only keeping track of this one. It's massive and it's huge, but it's one. We don't have to worry about, oh, you know, there's a whole different galaxy. There's multiple different galaxies, multiple different systems.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe it is more intense to cache and to keep all of that stuff in No Man's Sky versus one singular planet.
Man, it sounds like it's going to be quite a bit on the the newest console. Oh my god, I can't say. The newest consoles are a little bit more powerful, but
yeah,
I wonder how it's going to hold up with the little bit of stress. PC wouldn't be a problem, but
I don't know. I've been to some builds on PC, and it might be the engine itself just can't render that much. We would visit like big community planets, and you would either your frame rate drops or the whole beast cannot load in at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be an artificial limit they put in to make sure it can play on an Xbox One or a PS4 or a Switch. But I feel like it's more of an engine limitation versus anything else. So I mean, maybe. I mean, we saw that they overhauled water, so maybe they overhauled the base building just for Light No Fire.
When do you think it'll be out?
Oh, release date. Yeah, I kind of wanted to get to that too. Because I wanted to see whether or not how this conversation was going to be handled, because there's already videos going out about a potential release date, since they're doing marketing and they're doing
It's coming out tomorrow, guys.
Happy New Year, everybody. Merry
a game.
Christmas. Here you go.
But
No, I think it'll be 2025 sometime in 2025. That's
You think it's over a year out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because they still have, you know, to be announced for the release date and to be announced for the, you know, the systems that it's going to be on. So that's like, you know, they must still be figuring that out.
Sean Murray has a team of people who are like, hey, how can we squeeze this onto a Switch? Come on. Before we officially announce it, let's do it. Let's do it.
exactly.
They've got to build up that hype, you know, over the next year, right? Build that hype up.
There's a lot of questions about how it's going to be on console and which console it's going to go on, and people don't want it to be an exclusive. They literally want it for everything, cross-platform, the works.
I can't. Realistically, I can't see it being any kind of an exclusive, because they did that with No Man's Sky. It did not run it wasn't very good for the company, so I imagine they're like, nah, we're doing our own thing, so nope.
I mean, not to mention, I don't know if it's going to work the same way as No Man's Sky, but they have a lot of platforms to cover. Like Mac, some people didn't even know it's been on iOS for like a bit.
Yeah.
Then Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Steam, Steam and Game Pass. Yeah, all of that.
It's a Switch-only exclusive. Chaotic, don't you say that. Don't you say that. Nintendo buys the Switch. It's like only on Switch.
Oh,
Lord.
No.
It would become 16-bit, I think.
It would have to be. It would have to be. Now, there's a part of my brain that says they haven't announced any platforms yet because it's on a platform we all don't know about yet. There has been speculation that the new Switch is coming out in 2024, like fall of 2024. Who knows if that rumor is true? But if they have a pipeline, they say, hey, look, we might be able to get this thing to run on a Switch Pro or a more powerful Switch. We've already worked on No Man's Sky, and it can work on a Switch, but it definitely needs more power. And Nintendo said, hey, don't worry, we got you. We have another console coming out. Here's a dev kit. You can kind of experiment with it and tell us if you can do it or not. And maybe they can, and they're like, look, we can't say, hey, it's coming out to the Switch Pro, because no one knows that's out yet, or whatever they call it. So maybe that's part of the reason why they haven't announced it yet.
Or maybe they're making a new platform.
Yes, they're announcing the Hello Games a Switch, Atari, whatever you want to call it. Hello Game Station, yes.
Yes.
Hello Station.
Yes, the Hello Station. Oh man. So there's that part of it, but I think that it's coming out quicker than we realize. I don't think all the speculation out there. I've seen some creators saying, oh, it's coming out before Christmas or it's coming out in January. No, I don't think that's the case. But I feel like they've shown enough, and we've seen a lot of that trailer is like, okay, that's a lot of No Man's Sky-esque kind of things. And so would it be realistic to say it's maybe summer or fall of 2024? I would imagine yes. That maybe they can do that over the summer. Like, that's the big summer update is that, hey, actually, we have a new game called Light No Fire coming out July or August or whatever. For, in August, that would be kind of, they've never done an anniversary thing for No Man's Sky other than a trailer. They haven't, as far as I know, we haven't had an update on the specific anniversary, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're linked together and, hey, No Man's Sky ends, but Light No Fire begins in August or whatever.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna have. Oh, go ahead.
Well, and the other piece of that puzzle is when you sell a game, you have to get it rated by the different rating boards around the world, and they have not rated Light No Fire or anything close or similar to that title. So if you're not rated, you can't. There's no way they can rate that game in the next day or two. It's gonna take a week or a month. So until we see a rating, it's probably not close.
Okay. So it is gonna be a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they could maybe rush it through, but they don't do that generally. Historically, whenever a game gets rated, like when you see it, like, they rated the game in September, that usually means it's coming out in like January, like a few months later, not just a week later or whatever. So, yeah, there's not anytime soon.
Let's talk about crafting and base building. We saw the base building within the trailer, but we didn't get to see crafting. I'm like, do we get anvils? Do we need to see blacksmiths? How are we going to make these weapons? Can we craft these weapons? What's going on with them? Because we've seen swords. I thought one was a hammer because the way that the handle was on the bear's back at one point, it was too shadowy. But it was actually a sword that was clipping through the, I don't know what it's called, the little pack behind it.
Pack behind him.
So it's like, we know there's elemental weapons. We know there's regular weapons. We know there's shields. We know there's bows. Is that going to be it? Are we going to get spears? Are we going to get all these other things? There's this whole aspect of combat that I need to know about, because I kind of relish that in No Man's Sky by picking up a multi-tool with the Sentinels or whatever other enemy is out there. So I'm wondering...
Well,
go ahead.
I'm really excited for it because we have not had a lot of melee combat in No Man's Sky, and it feels like they're going the complete opposite for Light No Fire. There's swords, there's other things. I mean, of course, there's not staff, but staves. So there's going to be some form of magic like range. There's also bows and arrows. But I can't wait to see how they handle a sword or a hammer or any kind of melee weapons. I want to see that combat.
I'm not sure if I saw it correctly when there was a player that had the fire sword, and it looked like there was knockback from the I think it was a rock crab.
Yeah, the crab, the big crab.
Yeah. So, are they gonna have knockback with are the mechanics gonna play into the physics? And I'm just like, super excited about it. The idea of it, I'm like, ah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I absolutely hope, Sean Murray, if you ever listen to this, please, as a joke, this would be amazing. We have portable refiners in No Man's Sky. Can we get a portable anvil? Just pull out an anvil and slap it down, and repair stuff. That would be amazing. I want to see a character pull out this massive, like 500-pound anvil and go, boop, done.
Oh man, that like on the go for repair. Oh man, durability. You think there's going to be durability in this? I doubt it.
I think there will be, simply because I didn't, looking at the HUD, I didn't see anything on there to go for like stamina. There was no stamina in there as far as I could tell. I mean, maybe there is and it's just not shown, or they weren't using their stamina, so it wouldn't pop up at that time. But there was no stamina. There was none of that stuff. So I would hope that there'd be some kind of a durability in the fact, like, you don't have ammo. Like, how do you do that for a melee weapon? With the bows and arrows, yes, you have arrows, you run out. With a sword, is it just unlimited? You can keep swinging forever, or do they have durability of, oh, it wears down and you need to repair it, just like you would have to craft more arrows for your bow and arrow? Or maybe there's magic potions and you can only use your staff for so long before you have to reload.
Yeah, instead of overheating, there's like a stamina bar in the top right corner, perhaps.
Is there?
No, like
could be.
when you use your multi-tool so much, it overheats, right?
Yeah.
So like, would there be the equivalent for a sword? Like, would you just lose stamina instead?
Well, when you use your fire sword, it overheats.
Yes.
Immediately. One shot. Yeah, and it could be something like that, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any kind of a stamina. And if you start having multiple stamina bars, like there was one for running and one for combat, it might be confusing to where maybe, I mean, who knows, but maybe if you have a durability meter instead, that works as a stamina, because you can only hit so much before your sword breaks, and you can get better and more stronger swords, and so you can swing for longer and more often.
There's got to be dual wielding in this. There's got to be.
Oh, dude. I hope
so.
That would be amazing. I want to be a combat bunny with two big old axes just running around.
Be that
bunny. I feel like all the Gecko players are gonna be bunnies. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Well, to be fair, I my speculation video, I missed it the first time. There are reptiles in there, so
yeah.
You can be. I mean, who knows? We don't know all of the races, but maybe there is some kind of a lizard type
the
race.
Argonians.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Don't get me excited about that. I want an Argonian. If we're going to be a Khajiit, come on!
Oh, man. Let's talk about magic for a little bit. We talked a little bit about the staves, maybe having like maybe 1, 2, or 3 shots before it maybe needs a cooldown, or maybe a stamina might take into account of that, or maybe a magic stamina. But what kind of spells do you think are going to be in?
Well, my gut would say they're going to go with the more traditional fire, ice. Maybe, well, and it might be because I'm playing a lot of Valheim right now. So maybe they're just limited to a few, and so we don't see anything really out there. But I would love to have like a laser or something like that. That would be really cool for a staff. And it overheats really quickly, but you can laser somebody.
I think it'll be like fire and lightning based off of like the multi-tool effects that we've seen. You've seen like the neutron cannon or the incinerator. So they kind of already have lightning and fire.
I want an incinerator. It's not there. I mean,
I know you can't really get it anymore, but
I know that's part of the heartache that I had, because I had that on my original main save that I deleted. I had my incinerator, now you can't get it, and no one can give it to you. You can't dupe it. You can't do anything.
You gotta save edit in there.
Yeah,
that's a little bit.
That's the only way.
Maybe somebody with a staff might be a healer.
That's what
I like to have
too.
healers around me.
That would be a really interesting. Yeah, can you get a healing spell? That would be awesome. Well, and then, well, going off of that, if they have magic in there, is there going to be healing magic, or is it only going to be focused on food, or is there even going to be any kind of like a food healing thing, or is it just going to be, hey, you need to make a health pack or a first aid kit or whatever to heal you? Food doesn't matter.
Yeah, they kind of have to go over that, because they were hunting boar at one point.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what would be the reason for hunting other than a quest or a mission? Is there like hunger needed? Do we get to cook them? Do we have to chop them up first? What do we chop them up with?
Yeah. Or is it a hunger meter, or is it a buff meter? Like, hey, look, if you eat meat, you actually are stronger, you hit harder. Or if you eat vegetables, just like in Valheim is on my brain, if you eat vegetables and fruits, you actually get more stamina, so you can swing for longer or whatever.
Instead of a shield, it's a hunger meter, and like maybe, the more you eat,
the more of a buff you have.
get.
Yeah.
The better food you eat.
And there's a lot that they can go with. The other side of that coin for me anyway is it is Hello Games, and with No Man's Sky, and who knows, they're probably going to treat Light No Fire differently, but with No Man's Sky, they love to introduce features, but they were very surface level. They introduced food, and we're like, yes, we're going to have all this stuff. It's going to be like a stamina buff and all that. And it ended up being, well, it'll increase your life support 5% or whatever. And it's like, it didn't really matter. Like, it's not an integral, like, whole different mechanic. It's just like, well, you can either use a life support gel or grab a few things of food, and it doesn't matter. Either one works. So I want it to be deeper. I want it to be more in depth, but at the same time, with their track record on what they do with No Man's Sky, it probably won't be. It'll be, yeah, you have to make food because there's no life support gels in, Light No Fire, but it's the same thing. If you eat a mushroom, or if you eat a steak, it all does the same thing. It increases, it heals you, and that's it.
And I'd be okay with that. Just, as long as I have health and then stuff to recover that health when I get into a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
but
like the hunger meter won't go down as quickly if you eat better food, instead.
Or it might not even be a hunger meter at all. It might just be, hey, look, you lost 2 bars of health. If you eat a mushroom, it refills 1 bar. So eat 2 mushrooms and you're good. And it never goes down until you get injured. Just like in No Man's Sky. Like, I mean, there is some kind of a hazard protection on that screen in the bottom left. I don't know if it drains or if it's just telling you, oh yeah, you're in water, or you're hot, or you're cold. But it doesn't matter. Who knows? I mean, it didn't seem like there was a draining aspect. It looked like it was just an indication, like, oh, you're hot, or oh, you're cold. So maybe that affects the gameplay somewhat or somehow. I don't know.
Very hard to say without that bit of information.
Yeah, I mean, and we're taking apart a trailer that they could have just slapped together in God mode and just said, oh, it's not affecting us at all. So it's not, it's gameplay, but it's not real gameplay, quote unquote, because the character is invincible. Because we didn't want a trailer with someone dying or something like that.
I wish we could have saw more of the HUD and more of the inventory HUD or the interface. If you had to like press tab or maybe press escape, I wanted to see more of that aspect, because you would see the HUD and maybe like the little like dots up there in the upper left corner. You would see like some of them are, empty or maybe half empty.
Yeah.
But I want to see like what's the backpack look like on the inside? How much can we carry? Is there a weight limit? And it's just like,
yeah. Oh God, if there's a weight limit, I swear I will riot. I don't want to no more weight limits.
Listen, you have a choice between riding a hummingbird or a dragon. Do you really think the hummingbird wants to carry the same thing as the dragon?
I don't know about yours, but my hummingbird is going to be ripped. It's going to be the best hummingbird ever.
Become robot, hummingbird. Like my logo. I'm gonna upgrade it.
Oh, that's
that's right.
Yeah.
Cyborg hummingbird.
Nice.
They've got to add that.
Well, and that would be a question. Do you think that mounts are going to have different like limitations? Like that example right there. Would a dragon carry more weight than a hummingbird? Like if you are overweight, like if there is a weight limit, do you think they would do that?
It would play into like the realistic mechanic that a bird that size wouldn't be able to carry the same thing as a dragon because of like mass and volume, stuff like that. But I think that's looking a little too into it rather than just keeping it on the surface.
If I had to venture a guess, because there's no weight limits in No Man's Sky, there's just item number limits, and I think they're going to go with that. And so a hummingbird might have 10 inventory spaces in its bag for you to carry, whereas a dragon might have 25 or 30 or something like that.
That makes sense.
I can get on board with that.
Like a hauler, the The dragon's a hauler, while the hummingbird's an exotic. Or
Yes, that's perfect. It's an exotic. Yes.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if they fly faster. If that's going to be the case, then if the dragons can carry more, but can't go as fast. But the hummingbirds and are there crows? There were crows too, right?
There was crow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if they didn't just fly a little bit faster because they carry less.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. See, yeah, there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
Different mountain types, just like different ship types. Can you? And we don't know if we can have more than one yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Limited to
I am sold on a
1
dragon.
or 6 or 12.
I want all the mounts,
Yeah.
all the pets.
And I feel like that is another revision of No Man's Sky, because I feel like right now everyone has their like cosmetic, the ship that they like, and it's not really utility. It's not like, oh well, I love the exotics because they have better stats or whatever. At a certain point, they're all the same when you upgrade them. So I mean, yes, there's going to be variances and stuff like that, but like I always have the argument with people who are like, oh, I got my multi-tool up to 130,000 damage. And I'm like, okay, after 15,000, it doesn't matter. You're still one-shotting almost anything. So it's cool, but it doesn't really matter at that point. So it doesn't really play into the fact of, oh, I like this multi-tool because it has these stats, or this ship because it has these stats. And so it feels like they leaned into, maybe all the mounts are the same, but they look cool. Like you can get a hummingbird, or you can get a dragon, or whatever. And so that'll be the aspect of it, is like, hey, whatever you want, come over here. And maybe it'll be just like No Man's Sky of, there's only certain regions you can get a purple hummingbird. And so I have to go over there, find a way over there to get my purple hummingbird or whatever.
It would make sense because they have different biomes.
Yeah.
Different animals would live in them.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so do you think there's going to be a portal type system of, I can go in there and like enter in a location and teleport over there so I can get that mount?
Yeah,
I think so. I think there'll be a teleportation system, just like in No Man's Sky. I mean, there's different, there's short range, there's like the portal, and then there's the short. Yeah, there's like 3 different types of, ways that you can travel in No Man's Sky, in terms of teleporting and portals.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
Yeah, there has to be something
Right.
to move long distances.
Yeah, I think there would have to be. There would have to be. And that's probably playing into the magic aspect. Maybe instead of finding glyphs, you have to find different potions or some kind of ingredients to activate them.
Yeah, I'm gonna like that as soon as they bring that to light.
As soon as you light the fire, you can go across the planet.
Well, and then I saw some speculation on this. It's they called it No Man's Sky. Does that actually pop up in the game? And if so, what does that mean for light no fire? If you light a fire, does something happen?
Oh, that sounds creepy.
What happens when you light the fire?
Well, there's a section at the end of the video where the mountain breaks apart, but just before that, it looks like you're looking deep down into a hole in the earth. And so the fire might be magma kind of a thing. There might be something to do with getting
well, and
down
there's
in
this speculation. There's that one scene where the raccoon-looking character has a torch, and as they approach that statue, it lights up. So maybe fire activates things.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think that, I mean, for speculation reasons, yeah, that last scene where you're kind of looking down into the earth, it looks like it's underwater. So it might be the exact opposite of No Man's Sky. Instead of trying to reach the center of the galaxy, maybe you're trying to reach the center of the earth or the planet.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so there's like a massive hole somewhere we all need to go down.
We need to find, or maybe not one massive hole. Maybe there's entrances down into it, like a cave system, or in the ocean. I think he said there's
Doctor
oceans.
Who, like that Doctor episode where there's dinosaur humanoids living in the center of the earth.
Oh yeah, them.
Oh, that would be amazing. Can you imagine? Yeah. So they did overhaul cave systems in No Man's Sky. within the last 5 years. So do you think that there's going to be like massive underground biomes in Light No Fire?
That'd be. Oh, aren't there badgers?
There are
Yes,
badgers.
I saw a badger. If there aren't cats, I'm going to be a badger.
Oh, there has to be a cat. I mean,
I think there are cats.
I think it goes without saying. If you're gonna do animal races, you have to have a rabbit, you have to have a bunny or a cat, you have to have a dog. There are like the cornerstone animal races you have to have, and cat is one of them. If there's not, then you're doing something wrong, Sean Murray.
No, he likes dogs more than cats, so and he'll be a dog versus cat war.
Aw, man.
Oh, no.
Aw, man, thank you everyone for coming. This has been an excellent conversation. I want to try to do this every month with the podcast, but we are currently out of time. Like, I really want to go. I really want to talk about this for like another hour and a half, but I know you guys got things to do. But thank everyone again for coming. Those of you who are viewing this podcast, thank you everyone. I appreciate you watching this and jumping on the hype train for Light No Fire and our expectation of the next update in 2024. Other than that, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Azeroth, for having us on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Thank you all for coming. Later, everyone. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.